Chapter 1. In my dream, I'm enveloped in total darkness. Terrified weeping echoes in my ears. The voices are shrill, soul-numbing, and relentless. They're also oddly familiar. Could that be my Igni? My Igni make me the great Scala, the only being who can move souls to heaven or hell. They're also my personal alarm system, chattering mostly unintelligible advice in times of danger. That said, they only babble warnings when I'm wide awake, and they always answer me when I call to them. Not in this nightmare, though. Whenever I call to the voices here, no one answers me. It's irritating and not a little bit freaky. Stealing my shoulders, I decide to try once more. Are you crying, my little ones? My words echo strangely in the heavy dark. I hold my breath, anxious for any reply. None comes. The weeping only grows louder, until the voices gain the sharp, panicky edge of screams. That's it. No one's going to answer me yet again. My eyes prickle with tears of frustration and grief. Why won't these dreams stop? And if it's my Igni crying, then why don't they speak to me? At last, I wake with a gasp. Beads of cold sweat drip down the small of my back, making me shiver. Man, that nightmare was rough. My husband, Lincoln, leans over me, his body weight propped onto his right arm. Is everything okay? His mismatched eyes are wide with worry. You were thrashing around in your sleep. I force my breathing to slow. Calm down, Mila. It's early morning, and you're safe in bed at Ark's Hall. Everything is fine. I had another bad dream, that's all. Lincoln gently kisses my forehead. That's the third time this week. You're working way too hard. So are you, Your Highness. You know what I mean. I'm king of the Thrax and father to the most rambunctious 3-year-old in the Afterrealms. That's already a lot. But you've got all that and soul processing to manage. He pins me with a worried look. You don't take care of yourself, Mila. Unfortunately, I know exactly where the take care of yourself conversation goes. Doctors, physicals, needles. Not good. I slap on what I hope is an uber-healthy smile. I'm part demon. I don't have to take care of myself, and I still look fabulous. A long pause follows in which Lincoln's frown stays firmly in place. If that was a joke, I don't find it humorous. Hey, it was just another bad dream. No big deal. Total lie. These nightmares are driving me crazy. Not that I'll admit the truth to Lincoln. When I got pregnant with Maxon, I went through months of painful physicals that involved tons of needles, potions, and prodding. At the end, the doctors decided they didn't know dick about a pregnant Scala, and all the hullabaloo was for nothing. I have avoided the entire medical community ever since. I intend to keep on doing so for the foreseeable future. Lincoln glides his fingertips along my temple. Did you have the same dream as last time? All darkness and screaming, yeah. A shiver rolls across my shoulders as I recall the terrified howls that overwhelmed my sleep. I think it's my Igni. Igni? But they'd never contact you in your dreams. I know, right? At first, I thought they were so upset they couldn't wait for me to wake up or something, like it's easier to reach me asleep. Lincoln nods. That makes sense. A good amount of magical communication, like dreamscaping, can only happen when you're sleeping. I'd imagine your Igni might find it easier to talk in dreams, especially if they're overwrought. That's what I thought too! Only in my dreams, the voices don't answer me when I call to them. And my Igni always answer me, even if I can't understand most of what they say. I let out a frustrated huff of breath. Maybe something else is going on. Oh, like stress, perhaps? The look in his eyes says, and you know what that means. Doctors. Part of me knows that he's right. I can't avoid physicians forever. But another part of me wants to keep ignoring the problem, and that part's winning out in a big way. I decide to brainstorm other reasons for the dreams. It takes me a few minutes, but I eventually come up with something. Hey, it could be a spell, too. I've been joining demon patrols a lot these days. Maybe someone chucked an enchantment on me by mistake. Only one way to know for certain, says Lincoln slowly. I know you don't want to hear this, but that means visiting a magical healer. Yuck. Those Striga nut jobs are worse than regular doctors. Maybe I should go back to my theory that it's my Igni screaming. At least, that didn't involve the magical medical community. If I keep calling to Igni in my nightmare, maybe they'll explain everything. No doctors involved. Sure, they haven't answered me yet, but that's got to be better than getting a physical. I purse my lips, making a great show of contemplation. You know, come to think of it, I'm absolutely positive it was my Igni. I slap on my biggest, toothiest grin, the one I know that Lincoln adores. No need for checkups here. For a badass warrior, you're a baby when it comes to your own health. Guilty as charged. Lincoln rubs his chin for a minute. Last night, in your dream, did you talk to your Igni while you were still asleep? Sure. You haven't done that before. Well, not successfully anyway. Maybe they only hear when you're awake. Huh, I hadn't thought of that. Another shiver rattles my spine as I recall the shrieks that filled my nightmares. Well, whoever or whatever it was, their cries kept getting worse and worse. It was heartbreaking. Lincoln studies me for another long minute before nodding to himself. My queen, I believe you could benefit from a royal distraction. Royal distraction? The morning's looking up. A smile tugs at my mouth. I could, huh? Under the crisp white bed linens, Lincoln slides his left hand up my bare stomach. I close my eyes, lean back into my pillow, and enjoy the delicious sensation of his touch. For the record, I like where this distraction is going. Well, it's the least I can do, considering you're heartbroken and all. Lincoln's fingertips slowly circle around the base of my right breast. My inner lust demon stirs, sending heat to my core. Is this where it hurts? He asks slowly. Your heart? I mock pout. Oh, terribly. A mischievous smile sounds in Lincoln's voice. Want me to kiss and make it better? You know, that could totally help. Moments like these are why I'm so very, very glad that Lincoln and I don't believe in pajamas. Bit by bit, Lincoln pulls the sheet down, exposing my bare breast. Cold air teases my skin. Heat spikes through my bloodstream. Leaning forward, he presses a gentle kiss at the very top of my breast, aka the farthest you can get from my nipple and still technically beyond my chest. He does so love to torture me. So, how worried are you about these nightmares? Lincoln's voice is all low, sexy, and growly. My favorite. About medium worried? At this point, it's obvious that Lincoln's using his classic sexual distraction maneuver, the one where he gets me all hot and bothered, so he can talk me into doing something practical. And in this case, practical means doctors. But the joke's on him this time. I'm not some mindless lust demon who he can manipulate with kisses. I'll simply walk away. Kiss. This time, Lincoln's lips move lower, a sweet inch closer to my nipple. More heat pulses in my core. Walk away, Mila. Walk away. Kiss. This time, Lincoln's hand glides down my stomach, too. I don't walk away. Have your Igni said anything else to you since the dreams started? During the daytime, maybe? Yeah, well, I try to focus on the question, but I'm having issues because Lincoln's fingertips have reached my thigh. Damn, that's good stuff. Mila? He flashes me a sneaky smile. I asked you a question. Right, a question. What was it again? Any daytime messages from your Igni? Oh, that. No, nothing during the day. I slip my fingers into his messy mop of silky brown hair. I know what you're doing, by the way. Kiss. His lips reach my areola, which puckers under his touch. A lovely ache rolls through my center. And what is that, my queen? Using sexual torture to learn more about my nightmares. Next, you'll get me to agree to all sorts of junk I'd never consider unless I was under the influence of my lust demon. Sexual torture? Manipulation? He wears a look of mock shock. Really? Really? Lincoln moves in for another kiss, but then pauses just above my nipple, where his warm breath feels especially yummy. I might hate him a little right now. Although a visit from the royal physician is probably in order, don't you think? We're anointing a new Earl of Akka tomorrow, and I don't want to take any chances. Plus, you never know. There could be some sympathizers still running around, wanting to show their support for the former Earl by casting a bad spell on you or some such nonsense. I'll have the Striga elders send one of their healers over too, just to be sure. Agreed? I hate doctors, but I love how you're massaging my inner thigh. You'll still see them today, though, am I right? Lincoln accents this last point by gently brushing his bottom lip across the very tip of my nipple. My inner lust demon goes berserk. Okay, I'll see the doctors, just finally. He takes me fully into his mouth and suckles. Pleasure spikes between my thighs. Oh, yes. Lincoln gives my areola another expert swirl with his tongue. A low moan escapes my lips. I want you, Lincoln. Now. As you command, a frantic pounding sounds at our bedroom door, interrupting us. Fuck, fuckity, fuck. Right when he reached my nipple, too. Are you expecting anyone? Asks Lincoln. Nuh-uh. Are you? Nope. My schedule's clear until lunch. We share a frown. No one gets past the Royal Guard unless they have proper credentials and a damn good reason. Open up! A woman's voice booms through the closed door. I have important news for you. She speaks in an operatic sing-song that's hard to forget. Is that Maxon's new night nanny, I ask? Yes, that's Rowena. And if I were a betting man, I'd say she's here to quit. But you only hired her yesterday. True enough, but you know our Maxon. That I do. Our young son inherited my power to move souls to heaven and hell, which makes him the Scala heir. When I was 3, even my mom couldn't tell that I had supernatural skills. That's not the case with our Maxon. He's got all sorts of unusual powers, including an incredibly low need for sleep. That said, Lincoln and I do require our rest. So we hire someone to watch our little guy until morning. The infamous night nanny. How many night nannies does that make this week? Asks Lincoln. 4, I reply. We had the same night nanny for ages, but she left to start her own family. Now we're in an awkward in-between period. And by awkward, I mean angry nannies quitting daily type awkward. Ah, well, says Lincoln. We'll get it right eventually. I'll hire the next one. It's the least I can do for leaving you all hot and bothered. He kisses the tip of my nose and then rolls out of bed. I watch Lincoln's naked backside as he saunters down the hallway and into the nearest bathroom. My guy has a sweet butt. What a shame that royal playtime was cut short this morning. The pounding resumes, only louder this time. Will you please open this door? It's urgent. 1 minute. Scooping my scholar robes off a nearby chair, I pull them on over my head. Is Maxon okay? He's fine, calls Rowena. However, his behavior is nothing less than monstrous, in my opinion. Monstrous? That's way too harsh. I speed across the room, whip open the door, and freeze. It's a stupendous effort not to laugh my ass off. Okay, Maxon might have been a little monstrous this time around. Rowena stands in the outer hallway, a short, plump muffin of a woman in a simple black rixha gown. But that's not what has me almost cracking up. Yesterday, Rowena had a massive beehive of gray hair that added at least 6 inches to her overall height. This morning, that hairdo is a burnt-out mess. She looks like Mrs. Santa Claus with a charbroiled mohawk. Yup, that's Maxon's handiwork, all right. I scan the hallway, but my boy's nowhere to be seen. Most likely he's hiding around a corner or behind one of the larger pieces of gold-inlaid furniture. Rowena folds her ample arms over her even more ample chest. I have something to say to both of your highnesses. Lincoln steps up beside me wearing jeans and a black t-shirt. What seems to be the problem? I came here to discuss your son, the High Prince. You can throw me in the dungeons if you wish, but his behavior is unacceptable. Lincoln and I exchange a long, knowing look. Don't worry, honey. If we chucked every night nanny who bitched about Lincoln into the dungeons, we'd run out of dungeon pretty quickly. Maxon, says Lincoln in his best paternal authority voice, come out here, please. Our little guy sidles into view, a black-haired moppet wearing blue and white striped pajamas. He has mismatched eyes, a slender frame, and a shit-eating grin on his face. Yeah? Technically, our boy is only 3 years old, but since he's also supernatural, he has the size and strength of a child of 5. In terms of thinking power, his cranial capacity flip-flops between that of a silly preschooler and an adult criminal mastermind. What can I say? He's beyond awesome. Do you know why Nanny Rowena is upset? Asks Lincoln. No. Maxon lets out a puff of breath while extending his lower lip forward, a move that makes his bangs shimmy. That's his thinking up a lie face. I set my fist on my hip. You can do better than that, baby. And tell us the truth, adds Lincoln. Well, Nanny Rowena had a lot of rules. Maxon grips the arrowhead end of his own long black tail, twisting it in an odd rhythm. It was hard. What kind of rules? Asks Lincoln. Rowena straightens her rounded shoulders. I follow the same Thrax traditions that any nanny would. Lincoln skewers her with a warning glare. I asked my son. Rowena shuts her yap, and how? Man, I love it when Lincoln gets bossy. Maxon shifts his weight from foot to foot. I couldn't sleep, so I got out that book grandmother gave me. No question which grandmother he's referring to. Octavia, Lincoln's mom. She revels in Maxon's precocious mind and gives him all sorts of stuff to read. What book did grandmother give you this time? I ask. The Art of War by Sun 'Tis Sun Tzu, finishes Lincoln. Yeah, that guy, says Maxon. He points a tiny finger in Rowena's direction. And she wouldn't let me read. Rowena lifts her chins. Children his age should be asleep after 9 p.m. That's standard practice. Mommy rage winds up my spine. How dare she keep my kid from reading? When we hired you, we told you Maxon wasn't like other children. Because of his supernatural powers, he doesn't need much sleep. If he wants to stay up and read, he can do so. I respectfully disagree. My mouth falls open in a gesture of shock and rage. What an interesting point of view. You're fired. But I came here to quit, sputters Rowena. Well, now you don't have to. Yes, Your Highness. I'll take my leave right now. Rowena turns on her heel and starts stomping away. Not so fast, says Lincoln. His voice echoes menacingly down the hall. Rowena pauses and slowly turns around. When I see her face again, her eyes are large with fear. Good. Yes, Your Highness? You're not going anywhere until we find out exactly what happened. Lincoln snaps his fingers at a trio of guards, who immediately take up residence around Rowena. All the blood instantly drains from her face. Am I going to the dungeons? Depends on what the High Prince has to say. Lincoln kneels down and sets his hand on the back of Maxon's neck. It's okay, son. You know Mommy and Daddy's rules. If you can't sleep and you want to read quietly, that's fine with us. She turned off the lights, too, says Maxon, his mismatched eyes large as saucers. I don't like the dark. Lincoln rounds on Rowena. You turned off the lights despite our specific instructions to the contrary. Is this true? He looked so tired, and it was past 1 in the morning. So yes, I did turn out the lights and ensured that they stayed off. Rowena pulls at a few charred strands of her hair. And this is the result. I crouch down beside Lincoln. What happened with Nanny Rowena's hair? Maxon scrunches his little bare toes onto the marble floor. She wouldn't let me turn on the lights, so I told her I didn't need her. I can make my own light. Uh-oh, I think I know where this is going. And then what did you do? This. Maxon blinks hard, and a tiny bolt of lightning strikes just above Rowena's head. When the flash disappears, the thin stripe of hair that once sat atop her cranium is gone. Kaput. History finito. Now, only a handful of gray tufts cling to her skull in odd places. Rowena grabs her head. He did it again. Pretty cool, huh? Maxon bobs his eyebrows up and down, his little mismatched eyes twinkling with delight. That brow move reminds me of someone I know. Oh yeah, that would be me. Somehow I manage to keep a straight face. If I crack even the slightest smile, I lose all maternal authority. And since Maxon broke out his eyebrow bobbing routine, I know he really wants me to crack a smile. Ah, my lovable little monster. In truth, I can't blame Maxon for fighting back. Rowena broke our clearly stated rules and was an overbearing battle axe while doing it. Plus, damn, that new lightning trick is definitely cool. Lately, Maxon's been coming into his Scala air powers in a big way. When my powers began, I was a lot older, 18 to be exact, and the most I could do with lightning was cause random strikes. But zapping someone right above her skull? That kind of control is pretty impressive. And at 3 years old, no less. You go, kid. I'm about to say exactly that when I remember my parental duties. Maxon can't go around frying people with lightning bolts just because they piss him off. So much as I'd love to fist bump him, or at least ask for pointers on how to do that trick myself, I keep my features carefully neutral as I address my son. Do that again, and you'll be in big trouble, mister. Maxon goes back to playing with his tail. Yes, Mother. I shift my gaze toward Rowena. You may go, but remember this. You're lucky not to be rotting in the dungeons for the rest of your life. Yes, Your Highness. Lincoln orders the guard to shuffle Rowena off to the nearest exit. She bows repeatedly as she walks away. You're so gracious, Your Highnesses. Thank you, Your Highnesses. Yes, ass, but not without good reason. Once Rowena's gone, I refocus on Maxon. Now, what are our rules for your powers? His little voice is barely a whisper. Ask Mommy and Daddy first. That's right, says Lincoln. And you didn't ask us twice. First in your room, and now in this hallway. Maxon blinks innocently. But you wanted to know what happened. You could have used your words to explain, I state firmly. You broke the rules, so you'll have extra chores to do today. Maxon puffs out his lower lip. But she broke your rules first. As if on cue, Lincoln's mother Octavia appears from around a gilded corner. She steps along at a brisk pace, her lithe frame wrapped in a floor-length black robe. Her wavy brown hair hangs long and loose over her shoulders. As always, the Queen Emeritus looks petite, serene, and absolutely lethal. Octavia used to be a warrior, and a predatory aura still follows her. Maxon jumps up and down. Grandmother! He says her name with his little kid accent, so it comes out as grandmother. Love it. Octavia kneels down, opening her arms wide. Come here, my boy. Maxon races down the hallway and crashes into Octavia's arms. They hug for a long moment before Octavia leans back, getting a good look at her grandson's face. What's this I hear about your new nanny quitting? Lincoln and I share a look of faux surprise. Octavia always knows everything that happens in Ark's Hall, within 2 minutes tops, thanks to the servants on her secret payroll who are experts at lurking around corners and listening at doorways. Whenever something juicy takes place, they feed information back to her through a network of back hall whisperers. I thought about breaking up her system, but I benefit from it too sometimes. Besides, we only live here 6 months out of the year. When we're in purgatory, Mom and Dad are so busy as president and first guy, they pretty much stay out of our way. Maxon's little mouth pulls down into a scowl. She was terrible to me, grandmother. She wouldn't let me read your new book or anything. Ah, says Octavia sagely, but you shouldn't have hit her with lightning, now should you? Wow, she found out about the lightning strike too. Extra impressive. I only hit her a little bit, explains Maxon. Now I've got extra chores. And some nasty ones too, I should think. Octavia taps her cheek dramatically, as if a thought were just occurring to her. However, Octavia being Octavia, I'm sure this thought is why she headed over to our wing of Ark's Hall in the first place. How about you come with me to the stables today? It's Saturday, so you've no tutoring, right? Maxon nods vigorously. Your chores can be tending to the horses. After that, you and I can go for a ride. Maxon wraps his arms tightly around Octavia's neck. Chores with grandmother! Yay! And then Pop-Pops comes for my battle training tomorrow. Double yay! Your grandfather's coming into Antrim to attend the anointing of the new Earl of Akka, I explain. It's not all about you and your battle training. Actually, it is all about Maxon. Dad has a mega playdate / mock battle arranged with Maxon and all his little prince buddies. My father could give a crap about the new Earl. It's just a good excuse to sneak away from purgatory while Mom's stuck in a convention. Still, Maxon doesn't need to think the world totally revolves around him. Only mostly. What do you say? Octavia turns to me and Lincoln. Does cleaning the stables count as an acceptable punishment? I'll oversee everything to ensure the servants don't let him slack. That's fine, says Lincoln. Agreed, I add. Excellent. I'll have him back by noon. Octavia rises to stand and Maxon does his little monkey routine, wrapping his legs around Octavia's waist so she has to carry him tummy to tummy. She hugs him close and smiles. You're my sweetest boy, Maxon. Lincoln's eyes open wide in mock shock. What about me? You're a close second, says Octavia with a smirk. Maxon snuggles into Octavia's shoulder for another hug, and he uses the opportunity to peep over at Lincoln and me, his shit-eating grin once again firmly in place. Somehow Maxon's trouble with Rowena turned into grandmother, horses, and happy time. What a little player. Octavia says Maxon has natural political acumen that will make him a great king someday. I think Maxon could grow 2 heads and she'd say that'll make him a great king one day. Octavia is tough as nails until you wheedle your way into her heart. After that, you could do pretty much anything and she'll make an excuse for you. Connor's living proof of that. Classic example, the fact that he's gone all the time. Octavia says he's merely adventurous in his retirement. Or the way he treats Maxon like my kid's contagious. Connor doesn't want to force himself on his grandson. Right. Still, I'm sure Octavia had other plans for her Saturday morning. I shoot her a friendly wave. Thanks for helping out. You're most welcome. She raises her pointer finger high. One last item. We're sending over a new night nanny for Maxon. She'll understand how to handle my little warrior. Wow, that's a relief. Thanks, Octavia. Lincoln's mismatched eyes narrow. Of course, we'll need to meet her first before making any final decisions. Are you quite certain? A strange look flickers across Octavia's typical poker face. Could that be guilt? I shouldn't think that's necessary. Oh, it is extraordinarily necessary, Mother, especially considering that face you just made. Octavia opens her eyes extra wide. I know that trick for seeming innocent. I've used it myself a million times. Whatever do you mean, my son? Lincoln points right at her nose. That look, right there, come clean. What's really going on? Nothing, replies Octavia quickly. You two have got quite enough on your plate as it is, so I found you a new night nanny, that's all. Now you can focus on the big event tomorrow. Her mouth winds into a satisfied smile. The end of the old house of Akka. Anointing a new earl. Nice try to change the subject, says Lincoln. I hardly noticed. Please, Octavia rolls her eyes. Go prepare for the anointing. Not happening, I say. When are you sending her over? Her? Who? I fold my arms over my chest. Octavia, enough. Fine, I'll send her over to your audience chambers tomorrow at 11. I pause, considering. That'll work. Lincoln and I can split nanny duty tonight. Lincoln steps up to my side, wrapping one arm firmly around my waist. In the meantime, you bring up an excellent point. The Queen and I have all sorts of things to do before the Earl's anointing. Behind my back, his hand slowly dips to firmly cup my ass. I make a chirpy sound and then blush something fierce. No question, the guards at the other end of the hallway just got a free show. Wouldn't be the first time. Lots to do, I add, my voice about 2 octaves higher than normal. As I suspected. Octavia turns on her heel and strolls away, Maxon still happily cuddling in her arms. See you later. Once she and Maxon are gone, Lincoln and I rush back into the bedroom, slamming the door shut behind us. My heart beats at double speed. Royal playtime returneth, yeah! Lincoln tosses me onto the bed, where I bounce, snort, and in general break out into a fit of giggles. With an ultra-smooth lunge, he slides onto the mattress and pins me onto my back, his firm hands, hips, and thighs instantly pressing mine into place. Wherever he touches me, a sense of electric excitement runs across my skin. Our gazes lock. My body heats. Lincoln's voice comes out all low and growly, just the way I like it. How long do I have you? I know exactly what he means. I'm open until the trade summit. So, we have hours. Yes, we do. In that case, I have an idea. His legs guide mine apart with a knowing grace. Want to know what it is? I squirm to free my hands so I can pull his mouth to mine, but he has me pretty well pinned. Damn, that's hot. Tell me. Watching you unravel again and again. I can't help but smile. Unraveling is the best. Oh, I'm all yours, Mr. the King.